Shocking truth. You're living in a simulation 40 glitches that will haunt you forever. It was a foggy afternoon in a quiet little town, where every street felt eerily familiar. People went about their daily lives, but little did they know that their reality was about to crumble, or was it already crumbling beneath their feet? The sun seemed to blink down through the haze, casting shadows that felt like watchful eyes. Every shadow moved differently, almost as if they were independent entities, teasing the townsfolk. Newton's laws? Forget it. Here, gravity seemed optional. In the heart of the town sat an old diner where locals gathered. The jukebox played tunes that were oddly out of sync, skipping in strange patterns that sent fingers twitching and brows furrowing. But what really got under their skin wasn't the music. No, it was the whispers, hushed tales of strange glitches popping up everywhere. A cat, for instance, would slink into an alley, only to reappear on the opposite side of the road, unbothered and unfazed. Then there's the bizarre power outage that struck at twilight a few days ago. The streetlights flickered and died one by one, plunging the neighborhood into darkness. But as they blinked back to life, a flickering soul on the street claimed to see someone in the reflection of the glass in front of him. But when he turned, nobody was there. Goosebumps prickled on everyone's arms as they recounted his story, a collective shudder echoing through the cafe. The weight of the moment felt heavy, like a storm cloud looming overhead, and as if that weren't enough to set hearts racing, strange symbols began to appear on the sidewalks, faint yet unmistakably peculiar, like ancient hieroglyphics sprouting up randomly. Each symbol glowed faintly, casting a soft hue that seemed to pulse, syncopating with the thudding hearts of those who dared to look close. Who was carving these messages? What were they trying to communicate? The townsfolk exchanged nervous glances, their internal anxiety swirling like smoke, refusing to settle down. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Now, as night began to creep in, the townsfolk noticed a strange object hovering in the sky, a flickering light that danced rapidly in patterns, casting long shadows over their houses, igniting a sense of dread that ignited everyone's imagination. People were drawn outside, mouth agape, eyes wide, wondering if their discovery would finally expose the glitch in their mundane lives. Scattered murmurs filled the air, voices filled with fear and fascination. What is that? Could we be not alone? Just when they thought they had figured it out, the light vanished, leaving only a chilling air of mystery. What secrets were hidden within the shadows of their everyday lives? What truth was lurking, waiting to be unveiled? The night had deepened, wrapping the town in a curtain of darkness. The flickering porch lights fought valiantly against the engulfing black, creating an eerie contrast. Those who had ventured outside felt a magnetic pull in the air, a coldness that didn't quite belong on a night like this. Whispers hung tense, wispy echoes of unease, charging the atmosphere with something unnameable. Maggie, a waitress from the diner, clutched her phone tightly as she stepped out of her house. The screen wasn't just glowing. It pulsed an ominous electric blue. She glanced up at the sky where the light had vanished. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, an unsettling vibration that sent shivers crawling up her spine. It was as if the universe was speaking in a language she couldn't decipher. Did you hear that? A voice broke through her focus. It was Carla, another diner regular, eyes wide with fear. I've been around this town my whole life. I've never heard anything like it. Before long, a crowd began to gather in the street. People stood in clusters, their faces illuminated by the dull glow of their devices, all drawn together by collective curiosity and fear. The eerie hum grew louder, a menacing choir of sorts, drumming on their hearts like a countdown to an explosion. Suddenly, the strange symbols, glowing faintly on the asphalt, seemed to shimmer more vividly. As if they were alive, they swirled around each other like writhing serpents, weaving stories that had been trapped in the ground for ages. The townsfolk leaned in closer, captivated yet terrified, their eyes darting from the shapes to each other. Are they moving? Someone murmured. A tremor ran through the crowd, gasps rising like smoke. Then from the corner of her eye, Maggie noticed something or someone slipping between the shadows across the street. A figure, tall and draped in darkness, flitted in and out of view, just beyond the reach of their streetlights. Panic swelled in her chest, a heavy lump that made it hard to breathe. Maybe it's a prank, she started, though even as the words left her mouth, she knew she didn't sound convinced. Tension crackled the air as opinions clashed about what they should do next. Curiosity tugged on their instincts, but fear restrained them. "Let us go see," shouted a bold voice, breaking the freeze. Before Maggie could gather her thoughts, the crowd surged forward, drawn by the magnetic pull of the unknown. What awaited them in the shadows? Hope? Horror? They closed the distance on the figure, but just as they reached the end of the street, it vanished. But the glow of the strange symbols grew brighter, and a trembling silence fell upon the crowd. What had they uncovered? Maggie felt a tug at her heart, an instinct that told her to look down. The pavement pulsed beneath her shoes, a silent warning that sent shockwaves of fear lacing through her body. She crouched down, fingers brushing over the symbols, tracing their odd patterns. Then, she felt an energy surge that resonated through her fingertips. The ground began to vibrate rhythmically, matching the hum in the air, and for a fleeting moment, she swore she could hear whispers intertwining with the sound, sending chills down her spine. What did they want? The night felt alive with questions, the very essence of their lives teetering on the edge of revelation. And as their eyes turned starward, the skies stirred once more. A break in the clouds revealed a vast, swirling expanse of lights. It looked like a cosmic code, a cosmic heartbeat pulsing through the universe, right above a town that had just begun to question its reality. What could this ominous sign mean? Why were they being drawn in? The truths looming ahead felt heavy in the air, begging for exposure, waiting for someone to grasp them before it was too late. The crowd's gasps hung in the night, thick and potent, like fog rolling over the hills. The symbols on the ground pulsated, their light blinding, almost blaring in rhythmic bursts, as though the earth itself was trying to communicate. Maggie's fingers tingled. The energy was alive, wrapping around her like static electricity, drawing her deeper into its mystery. What is happening? Carla trembled, her voice cracking like ice underfoot. The streetlights flickered, struggling against the encroaching darkness, while the hum morphed into a wailing chorus, wrapping the town in a shroud of uncertainty. "Look!" A voice erupted from the back, a man gripping his phone high, a beacon of light that cut through the darkness. "Get a picture. This is insane." The crowd surged forward, a wave of bodies, pushed by the primal need to witness something extraordinary. But as they pushed closer, Maggie felt her stomach drop. The glow intensified, casting elongated shadows that twisted like clawed hands grasping at the night. The familiar shapes of their quiet town morphed, bending into something surreal. She felt as if she were standing on the edge of a chasm, teetering between the known and the unknown. "Is it coming from there?" Another voice whispered, pointing towards the old church at the end of the street. Its steeple cut sharply against the glow, an ancient guardian caught in the crossfire of the bizarre phenomena unfolding outside. It felt like time had disintegrated, pulling them into an endless moment where nothing was certain. What if it's dangerous? Maggie's thoughts spiraled. A chill pierced her thoughts, parallel to the desire to flee. Something dark lingered at the edges of her mind. She caught Carla's fearful gaze, a mirror echo of her own fright. "We can't stay here." Panic clawed at Maggie as uncertain murmurs bounced from one face to another. The crowd was a living organism, breathless, uncertain, and electric with anticipation. Yet, an undeniable curiosity drove them forward. The soft glow of the symbols reached out, inviting them. A gasp. One woman stepped forward, her feet moving almost of their own accord, drifting toward the shimmering designs on the asphalt. Without thinking, Maggie grabbed Carla's arm, instinct screaming to hold her close. The strange pull made them all feel dizzy, every muscle in their bodies tingling as the ground thrummed underfoot. "Wait," Maggie shouted, but her voice vanished in the roar of the hum that crescendoed around them. A flash of light erupted from the center of the cymbals, blinding everyone in its path. It hit like a shockwave, knocking several people off their feet. The pavement buckled, and the energy that had felt so inviting twisted into terrifying chaos. Screams echoed as shadows began swirling faster, and shapes emerged, figures and memories they thought long buried. "What is this?" A woman cried out as transparent images flickered in the light, moments of the past etched into the night. Laughter, tears, joy, sorrow. Each one was vivid, like slices of lives gone by, flaring up in flashes and dissipating back into darkness. Maggie staggered back, clutching her head, overwhelmed. "Something is wrong," she gasped. The air felt charged, heavy with disbelief. Was this a dream or a nightmare unfolding in their small town? Then, it happened. One of the flickering shapes stepped out from the light, no longer an illusion. A man with pale skin and hollow eyes emerged, his expression unreadable, as if he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. "Maggie," he spoke, voice dripping with urgency like water from a broken tap. "You must hear me before it's too late." The crowd fell eerily silent, breaths hitching in collective fear. Who was he? What did he want? The answer dangled just out of reach, a chilling promise that something monumental was about to break free. Maggie felt the pull again, stronger this time, a call to action or a warning. As she searched the faces around her, she saw hope, fear, and something else, determination. What path would they choose? Her heart raced as the man stepped closer, the air around them crackling with energy and secrets yet to be unveiled. Before she could process it, the ground rumbled anew, and the cymbals flickered wildly, shifting as though they had minds of their own. What truth was buried here, and what horrors would they awaken if they chose to dig deeper? Maggie's breath hitched as the man's hollow eyes bored into her soul, each glance feeling like a dagger piercing through the veil of reality. The chaos around them grew. Shadows danced wildly, merging with the screeching wails of fear. She struggled to steady herself, heart pounding like a drum in her ears. Suddenly, the man took a step closer, his pale face illuminated by the flickering cymbals. "You're not safe here," he shouted, the urgency in his voice ricocheting around the crowd. "You don't understand what you're playing with." Maggie felt a rush of adrenaline. It was as if his words wrapped around her like chains. This wasn't just some bizarre display of light and shadow. No, this was a warning, and deep down she felt an echo of truth reverberating in her bones. The crowd remained frozen, caught in a blend of terror and fascination. "This is more than just memories," the man continued, breathless. "They're warnings, glitches in the fabric of your lives." Glitches? Maggie's mind raced. Would they be pulled into their own forgotten pasts? Memories surfaced against her, will broken promises, abandoned dreams. Was this what the man meant? The cymbals pulsed more intensely, as if feeding off the collective fear, and she felt herself being tugged toward them, heart racing with every heartbeat. "What do you mean?" Maggie managed to choke out, but the man's gaze shifted, a flicker of something desperate in his expression. He pointed to the swirling shadows behind him. "They're coming. You have to act." Maggie felt Carla's grip tighten on her arm. "Maggie, please, let us go." But as she turned to reassure her friend, the ground erupted. The cymbals pulsated wildly, and the very air seemed to split apart with a sound like thunder. Maggie was thrown off balance, stumbling backward as the crowd erupted into chaos. Screams erupted, throwing her deeper into panic. She searched the faces around her, but horror had enveloped everyone. It wasn't just a collective fear now. It was an overwhelming tidal wave of dread crashing over them. "Maggie, we can't just stand here." Carla's voice cut through the chaos, but panic constricted Maggie's throat. She had to act, whatever that meant. In the swirling darkness, she glimpsed the man again. His expression was frantic yet resolute, as if he were weathering a storm within. "Listen to me," he yelled, his eyes shining like beacons among the turmoil. "It's imperative you remember who you truly are. Forgetting is the first glitch. Don't let them take that from you." Time seemed to stretch thin as Maggie wrestled with understanding. Who was the them he referred to? A chill swept through her, coiling around her heart like a snake. She could see Carla's fear mirrored in every terrified face around her. Across the crowd, a woman began to scream, pointing towards the church. A shadow was emerging, too large, too wrong. Maggie's chest tightened. It wasn't just a memory this time. It was real, forming and twisting, and it hungered. But in that moment, something inside her snapped into focus. "We have to face this," she shouted to the crowd, her voice shaking but clear. "We can't let our fear control us." The crowd hesitated, eyes flickering with doubt. But her voice pushed through, sharp and pointed, igniting a spark of defiance in their vulnerability. Their pasts could not define them, not yet. And then she reached for Carla. "We must find the source." The urgency in her voice settled around them like armor. She could feel a shift. Tiny murmurs began to weave through the crowd, voices rising, tentative yet growing. But as they moved toward the church, the man's desperate voice echoed in her mind, "Don't let them take that from you." Who was the them? The shadows thickened, swirling faster, and just as they neared the steps of the church, tendrils of darkness lashed out toward them like claws, threatening to drag them back into the whirlpool of chaos. What awaited them inside could either save them or seal their fate forever. But what if the real horror was yet to unfold? The shadows clawed at Maggie and Carla as they rushed through the twisted entrance of the church. The wooden doors, normally a symbol of refuge, now creaked ominously, as if murmuring warnings of ancient secrets buried within. The air thickened behind them, the darkness pressing in like a suffocating fog. Inside, the flickering candlelight cast warped images across the stone walls, images that danced like phantoms caught between worlds. An eerie stillness settled over the church, contrasting sharply with the chaos outside. Dust motes floated lazily in the air, but Maggie's heart raced as if they were racing toward something sinister. "Why is it so quiet?" Carla whispered, her voice barely audible. But as she spoke, the silence seemed to amplify. It wrapped around them, making Maggie feel exposed, vulnerable in a place intended for sanctity. "Maybe it's a trap," Maggie breathed, her instincts prickling with unease. She felt the weight of the man's words bear down on her. "Don't let them take that from you. We have to find that source. If we don't, who knows whatever they are will do." The flickering shadows shifted, warping the patterns on the walls. Symbols from moments before emerged, vivid and alive, as if drawing from their collective consciousness. Each one felt like a raw nerve, sparking memories they had buried deep. Lost loves, failed aspirations, the pain of choices unmade. "Those are our lives," Carla gasped, eyes wide. I don't know, it feels like a nightmare." But it was more than a nightmare. This was a reckoning. Maggie knew it. She stepped forward, heart pounding, feeling the air thicken with urgency. "We're not here to reminisce. We need to transform this energy." As if in response to her declaration, the shadows ripped apart, revealing a fissure in the ground, a swirling abyss of darkness framed by the pulsing symbols. It throbbed like some hungry beast, calling to something deep within her. A strange sensation washed over her, a mix of fear and exhilarating defiance. "Maggie, we can't." Carla's voice shook, and Maggie could hear the tremor echo within her own heart. "I want let us be consumed by this," she shouted, stepping to the edge of the fissure. The tempest of memories beckoned her closer, and images flashed before her eyes. Moments of joy intertwined with gut-wrenching grief. She could almost hear the laughter of old friends, see the faces of those she had lost in the noise of life. "Stay with me." Maggie turned to Carla, who was frozen, wide-eyed with dread. "We have to remember who we are. This chaos is our past trying to ensnare us." The flickering shadows surged toward them, reaching like twisted fingers, threatening to drag them into the chasm below. A roaring sound filled the room, like 1,000 voices clamoring for attention, their fears and regrets fighting for air. Remember us. The cacophony resonated. Was it the shadows speaking? Or maybe the echoes of their own choices? At that moment, Maggie felt it, the connection they all shared, the ties binding them not just in fear, but in strength. Together, she cried, holding out her hand to Carla. We can fight this. But before Carla could take her hand, the ground trembled violently. The fissure widened, light bursting from within, illuminating the shadowy space. It was blinding, almost transcendent, but as darkness wriggled around them, a chilling laugh echoed, chilling her to the core. You think you can escape? It was deeper, reverberating through the very fabric of their surroundings. You're only beginning to understand what awaits. Maggie's heart raced as the light flickered, revealing the truth of the shadows, a form beginning to materialize, monstrous and twisted, layered with the nightmares they had all tried so desperately to suppress. They were caught between certainty and chaos. What had they awakened? But as the shadows closed in, she knew one thing. They had only scratched the surface of a much darker reality, and the battle was far from over. What would they discover about themselves before it was too late? The shadows swelled, swirling like a tempest, and Maggie could feel the cold breath of something ancient crash against her skin. She gritted her teeth, heart pounding wildly in her chest. Whatever you are, we won't give in, she shouted, fighting the urge to step back from the abyss. Then, a form solidified at the edge of the fissure. Its features remained shrouded in the pulsating darkness, but Maggie could sense its eyes boring into her soul. They were full of anguish, longing, and something else, a sinister delight. Do you truly believe you can escape your past? It mocked, the voice slithering over her skin like ice. You are stitched from tales you wish to forget. Your fears are locked within the shrouds of my domain. Maggie felt Carla's hand grip her arm tightly. This isn't right, Carla gasped. We can't fight something we don't understand. We need to leave. But at that moment, the fissure shimmered violently, erupting with snippets of their past voices, desperate pleas, and moments abandoned. Laughter turned into cries, dreams shattered into nightmares. Each fragment felt like a shard of glass embedding itself in her mind. Suddenly, the quaking floor beneath them felt like it would swallow them whole. The overwhelming tempo of the cacophony pushed Maggie to her limits. We can't let it take us. She cried again, but the shadows rippled closer, and light danced angrily at the edges of their vision. The figure began to draw nearer, revealing hints of its grotesque form. Lurking beneath its swirling cloak were distorted faces, the very images of those they had lost or feared. The man from before emerged, just beyond recognition. His eyes were wide with despair as his voice slithered through the air. Help me, Maggie. Look, Carla's voice trembled. Yes, one of them. Yes, trying to manipulate us. A jolt of realization struck Maggie. These were not mere shadows. They were the faces of their regrets, fears given form, honed from the sadness they had buried. We need to confront them, she yelled, eyes fierce. No more running. We're stronger than our past. But as she spoke, the shadows surged, and the face of a woman Maggie had long buried rose like a specter. Her mother. The pain hit her like a blow. Why didn't you save me? The whisper sank into her bones. With a shaky breath, Maggie stepped closer to the fissure, defiance hardening her resolve. You're not real. You're echoes. You don't control my life. A loud clap of thunder erupted, shaking the stones of the church. The figure recoiled, snarling, revealing rows of razor-like teeth. Then embrace the darkness, Maggie. You will understand what awaits. From the depths of the fissure, a blinding white light erupted, engulfing everything. For a fleeting moment, fear washed away her thoughts. All that existed was this overwhelming pulse of energy pulling her in. Silence fell over the room, deafening, until a single voice dared to speak. What will you choose? Maggie and Carla stood at the precipice, caught in the riptide of choices past and future. The boundaries were collapsing, and as clarity emerged within the chaos, Maggie felt an invincible spark of hope. I choose to fight, she shouted, casting her gaze to the light. But the form lingered, its laughter now echoing through the darkness. You cannot escape this choice, your truth will bind you. With the shadows creeping ever closer, she grasped Carla's arm tight. The light flickered again, revealing fleeting images of their lives, their faults, their friendships, and the moments they feared to confront. Maggie's breath quickened, her heart hammering against her chest as she screamed, "Together!" Yet just as they prepared to leap into the light, a dark hand reached from the fissure, anchoring them back with a chilling grip. The shadows felt more alive, more powerful than ever. Choose wisely or lose everything. The final ounce of light dimmed, leaving them once again among the writhing darkness, the essence of their past pulsing like a heartbeat. What awaited them could redefine what they thought they were. Would they muster the strength to confront their shadows, or would they succumb to their own darkness? The air grew heavy, a smothering weight pulling at Maggie and Carla as they fought against the invisible tendrils wrapping around them. The twisted face lingering at the fissure wrenched deeper into her consciousness, a haunting blend of familiarity and horror. Together Maggie gasped, her voice cracking. While the shadows writhed, she felt that pull again, a magnetic force drawing her towards the specter and the light. But the darkness clawed at her, whispering doubts and fears. "Don't listen to it," Carla cried, her eyes darting frantically. "We have to break free." But how? Maggie couldn't shake the memory of her mother's anguished face. It pressed against her heart, an aching reminder of all she had lost. I can't leave her behind." The words tumbled out before she could stop them. The dark figure inched closer, growing larger, and the chilling laughter echoed through the church. "Leave her? She is part of your very being. Maggie, accept the truth, we are all bound by our choices. Your path is not just yours. It's tangled with those you love, and those you've lost." Maggie shivered, feeling her heart skip. The truth? What truth? The shadows shimmered like a dark sea, each ripple swimming with faces that surged forth: friends, family, lost moments, and aching regrets. "Fight!" Carla yelled, snapping Maggie from the depths of her thoughts. Carla was her anchor, fierce and full of conviction. But even as Maggie tried to focus, the velvety darkness wrapped around her like a shroud, ensnaring hope. It was a battle against despair itself. "Maggie!" Carla's voice cut through the fog, urgent and filled with determination. "Remember why you fight. Your past doesn't define you. Let it go." With a sudden rush of clarity, Maggie channeled her despair into resolve. She focused on the unlikely bond forged with Carla, their shared experiences flooding her mind: the laughter over coffee, the warmth of friendship, the moments when they had lifted each other up. "You're right. We are not alone." Fueled by that thought, Maggie felt an ember of strength ignite within her. Together, she roared again, voice steady despite the fear clawing at her throat. The darkness trembled in response, briefly unsettling. The shadow's sinister forms began to bend backward, the grip loosening. The sudden shift brought flashes of light into the abyss, illuminating Maggie and Carla and driving back the oncoming tide. "Hurry!" Maggie urged, her heart racing. Charge towards the light. But just as they pushed their weight forward, the figure metamorphosed into something more monstrous, intertwining human forms with distorted realities. You cannot run from what you are. You cannot escape your truths. In that moment, memories flooded back, sharper than ever: a boy she had loved, a sister who had vanished. Each flickered image sharpened the figure's hold, dragging her down. "No!" she screamed, trying to break free from the chains of the past. Amidst her struggle, Maggie felt Carla's presence solidify beside her. "We'll face them together." They hooked hands tightly as they faced the looming darkness, standing side by side. "We choose who we become," Maggie shouted defiantly, channeling her energy into the light. The fissure shook violently, and the sinister figure let out a roar, waves of distorted cries rising from its depths. "Foolish mortals, only suffering awaits you." But Maggie and Carla pressed forward. The blinding light engulfed them, transforming the darkness into trailing wisps. As they stepped closer, the luminous energy pulsed like a heartbeat, resonating with the beat of their courage. Then, just when Maggie thought they were free, the shadows clawed at her ankles, icy fingers threatening to drag her back. You must confront your deepest fear. The voice hissed, a multitude of echoes breaking through. Can you handle the truth behind your choices? Maggie's breath caught in her throat, and doubt surged again. What truth? What choice? As both light and darkness swirled around them, she shouted, I want to go back. But something deep within her stirred. Was she ready for what lay ahead? What awaited them on the other side? With her heart pounding and her mind racing, she stepped forward with Carla at her side, ready to face whatever emerged in the light. As the shadows grew fainter, the light illuminated an open path, and a terrifying question lingered in the air. What truth would greet them once they crossed into that brilliant light? The light enveloped them, a brilliant tempest that swept away the shadows and whispers. But as Maggie and Carla surged forward, a strange dissonance echoed through the brilliant expanse, a subtle hum that vibrated in their very bones. Maggie squinted against the glare, and for a moment, she saw not just the light but thousands of shifting realities swirling around them. Maggie, focus, Carla shouted, her voice piercing through the cacophony. What do you see? I can't make sense of it. It's like a dream, Maggie stammered, fear coiling in her chest as the scenes whirled. Moments of joy, gut-wrenching pain, snapshots of choices made, paths not taken. They were bathed in vivid colors: red for anger, blue for sorrow, and a vibrant yellow that flickered uncertainty. Suddenly, one scene stood out. The face of her mother, illuminated like a beacon amidst anguish. Mom! Maggie screamed, reaching for her. But the vision was fleeting, slipping through her fingers just as she thought she could grasp it. What does this mean? She felt tears prick her eyes, confusion mingling with desperation. Carla tightened her grip, her face fierce. Every choice you've made leads to this moment. You need to let go of the past or you'll never find peace. But how could she? Each memory was a weight dragging her down, dense and suffocating. She thought of the boy, the sister, the missed opportunities. They haunted her thoughts. What if I was never meant to move on? The light shifted, casting shadows again as the voice from the abyss rolled over them. Now more solid, echoing through the luminescent realm. You cling to memories like chains, Maggie. You have not faced what lies beneath your fears. Embrace the truth. The ground beneath her trembled, threatening to split again. With each tremor, fear gripped her throat tighter. Would she have to sacrifice more? Shed pieces of herself to uncover the hidden truths? No, Carla cried, wrenching Maggie from her spiraling thoughts. What if those doubts are just lies to keep you trapped? You can't let them win. In a heartbeat, Maggie felt an electric shock of resolve pulse through her. You're right. I refuse to be shackled by fear. Drawing upon the warmth of their friendship, she summoned memories of hope and laughter. I choose to believe I can change my story. A fierce light ignited in the depths of her soul, radiating outward and merging with Carla as strength. The shadows recoiled, shrieking in outrage, as they surged toward the swirling brightness. The cacophony of the past shrieked louder, but Maggie felt herself grow taller, heart beating defiantly. It's time, she shouted, vision narrowing to the path ahead. I want to turn back. Not now. A blinding flash enveloped them, a rush of wind whipping through their hair. As they shot forward, crashing through the final wall of darkness, Maggie wondered, was the truth waiting for them, or something dire lurking just beyond the light? Would they emerge into clarity or find themselves trapped in another illusion? When the light dimmed, they found themselves standing on a solid ground, the air crisp and vibrant. But something was off. Shapes flickered in the distance, familiar yet distorted. It was a world resembling their own, but skewed, filled with inexplicable occurrences and people who didn't quite look right. Where are we? Carla whispered, taking a tentative step forward, her brow furrowed in confusion. Maggie's heart raced as she squinted at a figure approaching them, an uncanny doppelganger of her long-lost sister. The figure smiled, yet her eyes glinted with something dark and unfathomable. Welcome, Maggie. You finally made it. But this is only the beginning. Maggie's breath hitched, every instinct screaming at her to run. What have we crossed into? As the chilling truth glimmered just out of reach, the laughter of shadows echoed in her mind, weaving a complex dance. What happened next? Would they piece together the fragments of this new reality or fall into another trap? The answer loomed, heavy and tantalizing, just beyond their grasp. Maggie's skin prickled as her doppelganger strolled closer, a smile plastered across her face that was both inviting and horrifying. Something primal inside her urged to flee, yet curiosity chained her feet to the ground. This cannot be real. Who are you? Maggie's voice trembled, wavering between fear and disbelief. I'm you, Maggie, the version you couldn't keep, the piece of you that remained here, trapped in this place, while you ran away from your truths. The doppelganger tilted her head slightly, eyes glimmering with malevolence. Don't listen to her, Carla snapped, stepping in front of Maggie as if to shield her. She's a trick. Whatever this is, it's trying to manipulate you. But as Maggie studied the dark reflection of herself, a sense of recognition pulled at her heart. But how can she be a trick if she knows me so deeply? Because this place feeds on your doubts. Carla insisted, her eyes wide with urgency. This world distorts your past to keep you from moving forward. Don't let it win. The distorted reality around them splintered, shifting colors blending from vivid reds to murky gray, twisting Maggie's confidence. In that moment, her sister's laughter pierced her memory, once saturated with joy now laden with heartbreak. Maggie, the doppelganger began, her voice dripping with sweetness. I can help you find peace. Face your fears with my guidance. She extended a glowing hand, beckoning like the sirens of ancient myths. Don't take it, Carla screamed, grabbing Maggie's arm and pulling her away. This is a trap. You can't trust her. Maggie's heart raced as she stared into the depths of her own reflection. The security in those eyes wavered, darkness pooling around them like shadows creeping into the light. For a split second, the whispered promises of relief and acceptance danced in her mind. What if she did face her fears? What if she could finally let go? No, the whisper escaped her lips, barely audible but firm. I spent too long letting fears dictate my choices. Suddenly, the landscape shook violently, the colors bleeding into a chaotic storm as if the very fabric of the world objected to her realization. The doppelganger's smile twisted with fury. You can't escape me. I'm part of you. You will always carry your regrets. Maggie clutched her head, hands pressed against her temples, battling the rising tide of panic. No, I choose to embrace my past. She turned to Carla, who stood resolutely at her side, fiery determination in her eyes. With you by my side, I can do this. In unison, they shouted, You don't control me. The words tore through the dissonance, and light surged from their hearts, an incandescent wave that pushed against the shadows. The doppelganger screeched, the sound like nails on a chalkboard, as the darkness shrank away. As they stood firm, the very essence of the realm began to shimmer and crack, revealing a swirling vacuum beneath. What are we doing? Maggie gasped, feeling the ground buck beneath her feet. We're fighting our own shadows. Exactly, Carla shouted, her voice unwavering. By confronting the darkness, we find the light. As they pressed forward, raw energy surged through them. The figure of the doppelganger twisted, screaming in anger, and began to dissipate like smoke. But an eerie laughter lingered in the air, echoing ominously, relentless and unsettling. What if we're only weakening the wrong part of ourselves? Maggie wondered aloud, uncertainty creeping back into her chest. And then everything imploded. A blinding flash consumed them, plunging the world back into darkness. Clutched tightly in each other's hands, Maggie and Carla gasped as they plummeted. When the void finally spat them out, they landed in a room that felt impossibly familiar, yet exuded an unsettling aura, an echo of her childhood home, but fractured and surreal. Familiar objects floated through the air, the past colliding with the present in a dizzying display. What is this place? Whispered Maggie, glancing around in confusion. But Carla aimed her gaze at a reflection in a cracked mirror and froze. Maggie, look, can't be the image flickered her mother. But not just a reflection of the past. A visage claiming to hold the answers they desperately sought. As her heart raced, Maggie wondered. What revelations awaited them? Were they truly ready to confront the pieces of themselves still lost in the shadows? The answer loomed heavy and heartbeat away, ready to drag them deeper into their own truth. Would it lead to salvation or only more chaos? The room spun slowly, a kaleidoscope of memories and haunting echoes. Maggie felt the air become electric. Here, in the fractured space of her childhood, truth hung like a specter, waiting to be confronted. The reflection in the cracked mirror shimmered, and the face of her mother radiated warmth, the embodiment of love and loss entwined. "This is it," Maggie whispered, heart thudding loudly in her chest. "This is where we find our answers." "Stay focused," Carla urged, gripping Maggie's hand firmly. "Whatever happens, we face it together." Maggie stepped forward, heart racing, and met her mother's gaze. "Mom, I never got to say goodbye." Each word felt like pushing through molasses, thick with pain and regret. "Maggie," her mother's voice floated through the resonance, soft yet potent. "You've carried so much weight. You cannot run from your past anymore. The shadows will only consume you if you let them." Tears stung Maggie's eyes. Memories flooded her, rushing in like a storm. "I thought I was strong enough to forget, but it keeps pulling me back, and the shadows weave through my thoughts, taunting me." "Well, it's time to embrace every piece of yourself, not to escape, but to heal," her mother urged gently. "You're more than your regrets. You're the laughter, love, and resilience. That darkness is only a part of your journey, not your destination." Behind her mother, the swirling chaos of the room began shifting, layers of pain and joy coalescing into a vibrant tapestry. Through the lens of love and honesty, the shadows transformed, flickering like fireflies against the fabric of her existence. "Carla," Maggie turned to her friend, realization dawning like the break of day. "We need to show the light within us." "Absolutely. Let us do this," Carla shouted with fervor, her spirit igniting at Maggie's side. Maggie recognized their surroundings. Moments of joy from her childhood sprung forth from every corner. Laughter filled the space as memories intertwined, swirling around them like a comforting embrace. They weren't alone. Every beloved face, every cherished piece of their lives filled the room. "Together, we reclaim our pasts," Maggie declared, her voice resounding with newfound authority. Light erupted from their clasped hands, echoing the strength of their bond. With each heartbeat, the room brightened, illuminating the darker corners. Shadows wailed, thrashing as if ripped from the ground, receding into the cracks of the mirror. The doppelganger's face twisted in rage. "You're gaining strength, but you can never sever ties with your pain. It is your heritage," she snarled, a serpent of dark energy curling menacingly in response. "No," Maggie countered, fear morphing into fury. "You don't dictate my story. I choose my path." Waves of energy emanated from her, fueled by every laugh, every moment of connection. Carla stood steadfast beside her, the flames of defiance burning brighter between them. The darkness recoiled, discordant howls spiraling into silence. They surged together, echoes of their laughter lifting the remnants of their fears higher and higher until the shadows erupted like fireworks, scattering into the air, disintegrating into shimmering dust. As the dust settled, Maggie looked at the mirror, her reflection now steady and clear. Behind her changed form, glints of light danced. "You're free," her mother whispered, shimmering like a new dawn. Heart swelling with gratitude, Maggie replied, "Thank you. I promise to cherish you in my heart always." And as the vision faded, Maggie and Carla stood enveloped in light, a cocoon of warmth pulsating with dreams and hope. The shadows had lost their grip. What once felt like a chain now merely accompanied them as a flickering memory. "Maggie, we did it." Carla beamed, exhilaration lighting up her face, but worry nodded in Maggie's heart. "Is it truly over?" she asked, glancing around in cautious wonder. "Only you can decide that," a deeper voice replied, reverberating through the space. This time, the voice was steady, safe, and familiar. Maggie turned to see herself standing before the both of them, a blend of everything she had learned, the love she had found. You do have a choice, her full self affirmed. Your pasts, regrets, losses, they don't define you. They're simply part of who you are. Rejuvenated by that message, Maggie knew it wasn't an ending but a beginning, a chance to reclaim her narrative. With a flourish, she gestured toward the swirling brilliance enveloping them. Let us step forward into our stories together. And with one final pulse of energy, they crossed into the vibrant expanse of a new reality. As the shadows faded, Maggie felt lighter, ready to embrace every chapter that lay ahead. Whatever awaited her now, she knew they would face it together, unafraid, unbound, and undeniably whole. It's time to write your own story, too. Don't wait another moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to boost our message in the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this conclusion. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful finale. You need to support us. I can't do this without you. Let us embark on this journey together.